free to email me. Sounds good? I'm so excited. Thanks guys for coming.
I will please welcome Professor Edward on the stage. A little bit about Professor Edward. I think most of you already know him, and he has been talking already a lot to all of you. So Edward is a faculty at Parsons in the SDM department. He teaches design sprints and project facilitation. He is the founder and creative director of SPR2 Innovation Lab and a global design leader. And he has over 25 years of experience in brand building. His teaching and practice sit at the intersection of creativity and business, and he helps students convert the research and prototyping into actual strategic decisions. He has facilitated corporate design sprints with partners such as Samsung and GM. His current research focuses on design leadership and soft skills required in techno-human workplaces. So, welcome, Edward.
It's so nice to see everyone on a Friday afternoon on such a beautiful day. It's fantastic. You good? Okay. Okay, fire away.
So thank you so much, Edward, for being here, first of all. I did give a little bit of introduction about you, but there is so much that you do, and honestly, I wouldn't know where to start. But because you've been in SDM for many years now, and you know the program in and out, I would like to know from you what SDM actually means and what it is broadly for the students who are just coming in.
So, if you step back a moment before I will answer your question, but if you step back a moment, you've made a really courageous decision, which is many of you have traveled halfway around the world to study business at a school that's primarily known for design. So you're combining these two very, very sort of heavy weighted concepts. One is strategy and one is design. And you're kind of mashing those together to allow yourself to unlock the world of business in a brand new way and discover new opportunities. What I think is so interesting is that our program, and I think I'm correct in saying this, our program is the most popular program within the School of Parsons. And Parsons has there's 5 schools within kind of the umbrella, and then Parsons is under the umbrella of the new school, right? The sort of the hierarchy. And it's at first when I joined the program's only about 14 or 15 years old, and I've been here about 9 years. When I joined it, we were still kind of in that incubation stage, trying to figure out, how the world was changing and how looking at business differently in a platform or in the context of design could perhaps unlock the kind of assistance and leadership that the world of commerce needs. And the curriculum quickly came together, and again, every year, it's amazing, looking through all the applications and all the statements and all the portfolios that you all submit. Our program attracts really, and I'm not just saying this, really kind of the best of the minds in this world, and it's such an honor and a privilege to be here. So big prelude to strategic design. So the reason I'm not surprised that this program is so popular is this idea of giving yourself the freedom to connect dots in new ways, to kind of not be scared by chaos, but to lead others through chaos. You should be very proud of yourself because it takes a lot of courage. B, it's no surprise that our program is the most popular because the world is cray-cray right now, right? Really crazy. I mean, I'm older than you, not that much older, but I'm older. And the world started to get a little interesting, kind of the end of the last century, and then it just kind of was like an incredible, episode of Black Mirror, if you've ever watched Black Mirror. It's interesting that firms are part of my responsibility or part of my accountability for the program, in addition to teaching, is also I'm responsible for bringing in external partners. So any of you in the first year, in your second semester, you're going to have an external partner studio experience. So I bring in those partners, and then I hope to meet many of you throughout either fall or spring in design sprints where you'll meet 2 more partners. And what's so interesting is, at first I thought bringing in external partners would be such a Herculean task. Because I'm contacting, often it's just a cold call. Like, hi, my name's Edward. Like, do you want to go on a date? Like, really, it's like that, it can be that intimidating. But the minute I talk about Parsons, the minute I talk about this business program, the minute I talk about helping them, address things that keeps them up at night, they're like, I'm on board, sign me up, like, I'll do whatever you need. I have partners already for spring 27. Like, the world is crazy, and people need you a lot.
Amazing, that was a very
Okay,
good
good,
overview.
good.
Building on to the last part where you bring in partners, because a lot of Edward's practice is around tying creativity and business together. So what is it that you talk to these people? How do you pitch us as creatives, but taking all of the business strategy in action? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's not so easy to help others in the world of business understand this program. Like, for all of you that were at orientation when we were talking about what's the definition and how do I define this and can you give me a one-liner? And I told my parents I was a fashion designer, but I'm really like, it's very, very confusing to the world. And so I always will say to my students, like, focus on yourself first. Like, these next 2 years or this next year, focus on reframing your personal narrative, because you're gonna have to not just be a leader, you have to be a teacher. So when I talk to the Samsungs of the world or the Microsofts of the world, they kind of understand, sort of. They don't want to sound really like clueless. And we're talking about methodologies that we've probably talked about now for about 20 years, kind of in the world of business. But my background is mostly large corporations. Coming from business, trust me, you're going to have to explain and help people understand how you see the world. It's not as common as you think, which is why people are kind of on the edge of their seat and hungry to meet with you, because you can perhaps see things in this scary future that they can't, right? So I help them, kind of step back to that bigger system, sort of I always call it like the 30,000 foot mark. Not everyone is a big thinker. That's why you guys are here. They need you because you're able to step back and see a bigger system. So I help them with that. I help them understand that, like Da Vinci said, and I'll bastardize the quote, but I love Da Vinci, everything is connected to everything. So I help them understand that we embrace that and we see those moments. For example, Samsung, when they partnered with us, it wasn't for like the next mobile device, which I really thought, like when I called Samsung, it was gonna be like, can we have like a chip embedded? Or it was gonna be something techie, It wasn't that at all. It was about how do you evolve corporate cultures? How can partnering with people who think differently help our people think differently, right? It was so human. I loved it. We were fortunate enough, no, I'm not saying COVID was a good thing. Deadly virus, bad, right? But COVID did, in retrospect, the world changed in a lot of really beautiful ways too, and a lot of really ugly ways, which is kind of how the world always moves, right? Dystopia and utopia. We were actually a partner with Pfizer the year before COVID. Pfizer's the big pharma company that in the States really led the charge with the vaccine, right? The reason they connected with us was because they had just hired a new CEO a year prior, and they needed a new way of connecting what big pharma does, like in the sort of scientific world, but simplifying it so that all of us would embrace it. The public doesn't really embrace science. They don't really think it's sexy. They don't really you don't sit around on a Friday night with a martini and talk about science with your friends. They know that, right? But that was the reason that they partnered with us. And the stories go on and on, right? We must have over, 65 or 70 external partners that I brought into the program. And everyone has a different story. And the stories are all unique and all relevant to how we think. So it's not just one kind of sort of data-driven partnership. So they start to kind of embrace what we do because they start to say, oh, so you can really help us you can really bring value in a lot of ways for us, not just what's the next retail outlet supposed to look like, right?
Yeah, amazing. And so speaking of that and Pfizer coming in and all of these companies, I think one of the biggest problems that I had as a designer before joining this course was trying to like make myself understand trying to speak to the business people, like making them understand what I actually do. And that means translating a lot of frameworks and theory work that we do into practical use, which you exactly do in your project facilitation and design sprints class. And they have been actually really helpful for us to understand how to talk to clients. What would you say are the top 2 to 3 skills or practices that a designer must have that we really need to have as a strategic designer?
So I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to twist a little bit, right? Because I think, if we really look at the workplace that you're going to go into when you exit Parsons in 2 years or 1 year, it's really what I call a techno-human workplace, right? You're going to be partnering with this disruptor called AI on some level. In almost every company you're going to be partnering with, and almost every company is going to be global. So it's going to be, I lean into more, not so much skill sets, but I believe you've got to get your story straight before you can lead anyone. I've interviewed a lot of people, I've built a lot of teams. I can tell when you don't believe you. So you got to believe you first. And again, there's no right and wrong, and I hope you are going through this program knowing that every class should be a discovery of self. There is no right answer. There's not going to be a quiz at the end of the of class to say what's the right. It's your answer, and it's your narrative and how you've connected the dots for yourself. So I lean into the human side, because if I'm building teams in 2030 or 2035, I have to know when I want a tech solution and when I want a human solution. It's that simple, in my opinion. So I always encourage, help people get excited, help people imagine a future that they can't see. Believe in your story, become good storytellers. I know it sounds kind of like I did that in elementary school, but the same reason that you loved, to learn by stories when you were this big, this is the way you're going to engage people. You got to tell a story because you have to help them get into your movie that you're imagining in the future, or they're not going to come on board. And if you're working in a really large brand, like has been my experience, it's a cast of thousands. So I'm telling my story over and over and over, and it's the same. My North Star is the same, but I have to kind of frame the story when I'm talking to the financial guy. I have to frame the story when I'm talking to the marketing strategist. I have to frame my story when I'm talking to the shareholders. I have to frame, but my North Star is constant. All roads lead to that. So those are the kind of things that I talk with students about, because it changes your opportunities for adding value, in my opinion, are changing. So when you listen to your story, when you look at your CV or resume, when you look at your portfolio or website, start to look at it through the eyes of what your uniqueness. Your uniqueness is your superpower. Don't try to be every person. Don't try to be exactly what the job description wants. Don't try to be, kind of defaulting, which some of our students do in their their graduating semester. Don't default to the mindset you had when you entered this program. You've changed. So everything, all the methodologies you've learned in this program, in the context of this amazing university, in the context of this amazing city, I won't say this amazing country right now, but in the context of this amazing city, use on yourself. Your story and your brand is the most important one you're ever going to work on. And it's going to be the most important story you're ever going to tell. Be creative, lean into it, engage those people, and trust me, they show up. They'll come into the movie. They'll want to be part of creating that future that they've never heard of before, or that they've never seen before, or no one in our industry has done that before. It doesn't mean disruption for disruption's sake. It just means you understand the context of our changing world.
Thank you so much for that. I feel I can listen to you for hours
Oh.
and hours. We will want to hear from a panelist soon. But I will ask you one question before wrapping up. You have already given us a lot of advice, but since we are a lot of first year students right now and they're only starting to navigate through the second year, what would be your one advice and how should
We were
this-
just talking about it. Learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's my advice. You're in a really unique institution with a lot of really unique people from 24 different countries in an amazing international global city. Talk to everyone. I am shameless. I will talk to anyone, and I'm an introvert. I will just like, oh my gosh, you look so interesting. Oh my gosh, you know, I hear you're going to Parsons today to hear a lecture, whatever it is. I have a really big network that I nurture and I water and I stay in touch with. It takes time, it takes energy, but the world is crazy, and sometimes when you're feeling uncomfortable, you have to tap into these sort of touchstones to say like, you're not alone. It's gonna be okay. Because you guys are here. You already have it. You just have to like find it in yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Can we have applause for Edward?
And an applause for Anya and Frosty. This is fabulous. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. We'll have, in fact, we're going to have a bigger session with Edward hopefully sometime soon, later, not now.